The human only wanted a job. The alien widow said, "Be a father, not a worker." The twin suns burned over the desert world of Kether. Jace Rowan walked anyway. Sand slipped under his boots. Heat rose in waves and made the horizon shake. His vest was sun-faded and stained. A pack dug into his shoulders. His mouth was dry. "Just a few more ridges," he whispered. He lifted his canteen. 2 small sips left. He took only one. The water was warm, but it kept him moving. He shoved the canteen back into his pack. "Not now," he muttered to himself. "Past is dead. Keep walking." Time blurred into steps, breath, and sand. The suns dropped lower, turning the sky orange. Jace climbed another dune, legs shaking. At the top he stopped and stared. There, in the distance, lay a settlement. It was small, built from old metal and prefab blocks. Some buildings leaned. Some looked empty. But he saw thin smoke lines and a few pale lights. Life. Shelter. Maybe work. Jace headed down the slope. As he came closer, he saw one house standing a little apart from the rest. Its walls were reinforced. Its windows had bars. A short strip of garden clung to one side, with tough green plants in the dry soil. His instincts said, go to the center, find a bar, listen for jobs. More people, more noise to hide in. But his legs felt heavy, and something about this single guarded house pulled at him. He walked up the narrow path and raised his hand to knock. The door opened before he touched it. A weapon pointed straight at his chest. It looked a little like a shotgun, but the metal was dark and strange. Behind it stood someone who was clearly not human. She filled the doorway. Her skin was a cool violet color, faintly glowing in the red light. Her hair was snow white, braided tight along the sides. Her eyes were silver gray and sharp, watching every small move he made. "That's close enough. Human," she said. Her voice was calm, but hard. "Say what you want, or turn around and walk back into the sand." Jace slowly lifted his hands, palms open. "I'm just looking for work," he said. His voice was rough from dust. "Short job. I earn some credits, buy supplies, then I move on." Her eyes narrowed. She studied his boots, his scars, the way he stood. Soldier eyes, he thought. "She knows I've seen war." "Name?" she asked. "Jace Rowan." She was silent for a long moment. The sun slipped lower. Wind pushed dry sand around his boots. At last she lowered the weapon a little, but did not put it down. "I am Kira," she said. "And I do not need a worker, Jace Rowan." His tired heart sank. Wrong house. Wrong door. He opened his mouth to thank her and leave. "I need a father," she said. The word stopped him. He stared. "A what?" Kira did not smile. Her silver eyes stayed on his face. "A protector. A teacher. Someone to show my son how to live and how to fight in this hard universe," she said. "Someone who will not run when danger comes." A small shape appeared behind her. It was a child, maybe 7 or 8 by human years. Same violet skin. Same white hair, only shorter and messy. His eyes were like hers, but too serious for his age. The boy stared at Jace with fear and curiosity. "Inside, Rin," Kira said, softer now. "I will call you soon." The boy obeyed and slipped back into the house. Kira looked at Jace again. "You stand at a crossroads, human," she said. "You can walk back to the empty dunes, or you can step inside and hear my offer." The wind hissed over the sand behind him. The settlement lights were dim and far away. Jace felt the weight of every lonely mile he had walked. He should leave. Find simple work on some other world. Keep outrunning his ghosts. But his feet did not move. "Talk," he said at last. "If I don't like what I hear, I leave." Kira's lips curved in the smallest of smiles. "If you step into this house," she said, "nothing in your life will stay the same." She moved aside. Jace Rowan took a slow breath, then stepped past the doorway and into the unknown. The door closed behind Jace with a soft hiss. For a moment, the quiet felt heavier than the desert outside. Kira walked ahead of him, setting her weapon on a metal counter where she could reach it easily. Her movements were smooth, controlled, like someone who had lived too long expecting danger. Her house was small but organized with military precision. Tools hung in perfect rows. Supplies were sorted into labeled cases. A soft blue plant grew in a cracked pot in the corner, its petals glowing in the dim room. On one wall, a child's drawing was pinned, 3 figures under 3 moons. A taller figure, a shorter one, and a very small one between them. The missing space between the tall and short figures made Jace's chest feel tighter than it should have. Kira motioned for him to sit. Water, she called. Rin appeared again, slower this time. He carried a cup with both hands, his small arms trembling under the weight. He set it in front of Jace and stepped back quickly, eyes wide and unsure. Thank you, Jace said softly. The boy gave a shy nod before moving behind his mother again. Kira sat across from Jace, her silver-gray eyes fixed on him. You said you want work, she began. Then listen. Jace nodded. My husband, Kira said, touching the edge of the child's drawing, died in the Helion War. He fought the Varkun at the outer line. He fought until his last breath so the evacuation ships could escape. She took a long, steady breath. My people praised him. Then they gave me a folded flag and told me to start a new life. As if such things are simple. Jace understood that feeling too well. She leaned back slightly, studying him. Since then, this settlement has been my home. Rin is all I have now. And he must learn to protect himself. To be strong. To survive. Her gaze sharpened. That is where you come in. Jace frowned. I'm not sure I understand. There must be dozens of skilled fighters here. Why pick a stranger? Because you are not from here, Kira said plainly. You think differently. Human soldiers fight with a kind of anger that my people do not understand. You improvise. You adapt. You do not break. And that's what you want for your son? Jace asked. I want him to live, Kira replied. And living requires learning from those who have walked through death and kept moving. She moved closer, elbows on the table, voice low. I watched you walk out of the desert alone. No water. No escort. No fear. Only a man with too much pain in his eyes and too much stubbornness in his step. The words hit too close. Jace looked away for a breath. Kira continued. You are wounded, Jace Rowan. But wounded people often make the best teachers. They know what not to repeat. Silence settled between them. The house hummed quietly. Outside, the wind pushed dust against the door like restless fingers. So what exactly are you offering me? Jace asked. Kira folded her hands. Shelter. Food. A place to rest. A purpose. You will train Rin. Teach him balance, strength, discipline. Teach him to survive when the world is cruel. And in return? Jace asked. Kira's eyes darkened. When the day comes, and it will come, you will stand with him. With us. When the Varkun return, I need someone who will not run. Jace hesitated. He had walked across half a planet trying to outrun old ghosts. Taking this deal meant he would stop running, and that terrified him more than any battlefield ever had. Kira waited, patient, unreadable. Finally, Jace spoke. I can train him, he said slowly. I can teach him to fight. I can keep him safe. Kira's expression softened. Not much, but enough. But I'm not a father, Jace added. I don't know how to be one. You don't need to be perfect, Kira said. You only need to stay. He looked at Rin, who was pretending not to listen but watching him with quiet hope. Jace felt something shift inside him, something he had locked away for years. He met Kira's eyes. I'll try, he said. That was all she needed. Her shoulders lowered, tension leaving her body. Then tomorrow, she said, standing, we begin. And for the first time since he arrived on Kether, Jace felt the strange weight of a future forming. One he hadn't asked for, but one he suddenly wanted to hold. Morning came quietly on Kether. Pale blue light slid across the desert and into Kira's small home. Jace woke before the suns rose fully, out of old habit. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he heard soft footsteps in the next room and remembered. He wasn't alone anymore. Jace stepped outside to breathe the cold morning air. The desert was still, no wind, no noise, just endless dunes glowing faintly under the 3 moons. Strange how peaceful this place was, when he had arrived carrying nothing but guilt and exhaustion. The door creaked behind him. Rin peeked out, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Are we starting now? He asked, trying to sound brave. Yeah, Jace said. Let's warm up first. Rin nodded quickly, excitement showing in the way his small hands curled into fists. Jace marked a small circle in the sand. Stand here. Feet apart. Not too wide. Rin stepped into the circle and copied the stance, a little stiff, a little unsure. Good, Jace said. Now bend your knees. Close your eyes. Close my eyes. Rin asked, confused. You have to feel the ground, Jace explained. Not just look at it. Listen to the sand. Listen to your body. Rin shut his eyes tight. A moment later, a breeze brushed past them. Sand shifted. Rin swayed. Don't fight the wind, Jace said. Move with it. Balance is the first step in any fight. Rin tried again, this time bending his knees more. He steadied. Better, Jace said. You learn fast. The boy opened his eyes and smiled, proud. Kira watched from the doorway, silent but alert. She held a cup of steaming tea, and her eyes followed every move Jace made, as if weighing his words, his teaching, even the way he breathed. After balance, they practiced steps, forward, back, sideways, smooth and simple. Rin stumbled, corrected himself, stumbled again, and kept going. No shame in falling, Jace said. Shame isn't giving up. Rin nodded hard and stood again. When the suns finally rose, turning the sand gold, Jace stepped back and crossed his arms. That's enough for today. Rin exhaled loudly and collapsed onto the sand. Kira walked toward them. He is focused, she said. He wants to learn, Jace replied. That's the most important part. Kira handed Rin water, then looked at Jace. And you? How do you feel teaching again? Jace stiffened slightly. Teaching had never been his role, not in the way she meant. In the military, training was about shaping soldiers, not children. But here, with this small boy watching him like he was some kind of unshakable wall. It's different, Jace said. But it feels right. He didn't know he would say that until the words left his mouth. Kira's expression softened, just for a moment. Good. Inside, they shared a quiet breakfast. Rin talked nonstop about training, how he stood longer, how he didn't fall the last time, how he wanted to learn kicks next. Jace smiled despite himself. Kira listened, patient, amused. Slow down, Rin, she said. Let him eat. But the boy shook his head. If I talk fast, that means I'm strong, right? Jace laughed. Maybe. Or maybe it means you're excited. Rin puffed up proudly. I like training. It feels like, I don't know, like I'm becoming someone else. You're becoming yourself, Jace corrected gently. Kira glanced at him, thoughtful. Later, after breakfast, she handed Jace a thin metal tablet. These are old maps, she said. If the Varkin truly returns someday, Rin must know the land as well as you do. Jace flipped through the maps, paths, cave systems, dunes large enough to hide entire ships beneath their shifting sands. You've been preparing for years, he said quietly. Kira nodded. Hope is dangerous, but planning is not. She hesitated, then asked, and what about you, human? Are you preparing for anything? Or are you simply passing through? Jace stared at the map for a long moment. I don't know yet, he admitted. But today felt like the first step toward something. I just don't know what it is. Kira accepted that answer without pushing. That afternoon, Rin joined Jace again outside. They practiced footwork, breathing, distance control. The boy moved gracelessly at first, arms flailing, legs slipping. But Jace kept steady behind him. Again, Jace said. Rin tried again. Good. Again. The sun dipped lower. Shadows stretched across the sand. The desert wind picked up. Then something small but important shifted. Rin stopped copying. He moved on his own, slower, but focused. His feet found balance naturally. His shoulders relaxed. His movements grew smoother. Jace saw it. The boy was learning not just to move, but to feel. That's it, Jace said quietly. Now you're fighting. Rin's eyes lit up. Kira stepped forward, watching her son with pride. He listens to you, she said. He trusts you, she added after a moment. Her voice was softer than usual. Jace looked at her, unsure how to respond. Something warm and unfamiliar settled in his chest, heavy and strange. For the first time in years, he felt rooted. Rin ran toward them, panting. Did you see? Did you both see? Kira placed a hand on her son's head. Yes, you did well. Jace nodded. Tomorrow, we start real drills. Rin's eyes widened. Real ones? Yes, Jace said. You earned it. The boy cheered and ran into the house to drink water. Kira looked up at Jace. You are changing him, she said. And maybe he is changing you. Jace didn't answer. He didn't need to. For the first time since Jace walked out of the desert, he felt like the ground beneath him was becoming something solid, something worth staying on. The next days moved in a steady rhythm, training Rin at sunrise, repairing tools at noon, and sharing a silent dinner with Kira as desert winds whispered outside the house. For the first time in years, Jace felt a pattern in his life that wasn't built around survival. He didn't trust it. Peace never lasted long for a man like him. That truth arrived one hot afternoon. Jace was fixing a loose boundary post near the garden, tightening old metal bolts. Rin practiced a simple defensive form a few steps away, repeating the motions until sweat dripped from his forehead. Sand shifted under their feet. The world felt normal. Then a voice broke the quiet like a knife. So it is true. The human has made himself comfortable. Jace rose slowly and turned. A tall Arel, male, stood on the path. His skin was pale violet, almost icy, and sharp ink markings curled across his temples and arms, symbols of rank and ancestry. His clothes were too fine for a frontier settlement, and his eyes held the kind of coldness Jace recognized from officers who never saw battle. "Can I help you?" Jace asked calmly. The stranger's lips curved in a thin, unpleasant smile. "I am Neros, council minister, guardian of this settlement. And you?" His gaze lowered with disgust. "You are trouble." Rin stopped practicing, eyes wide. Jace did not rise to the insult. "If you have something to say, say it." "Oh, I will," Neros said. He stepped closer and tapped a device on his wrist. A hologram flickered to life between them, an image of Jace in a clean Terran uniform, standing before a unit of soldiers. Younger, sharper, eyes harder. Under the image, lines of text scrolled fast. "Too familiar. Too painful." Rin gasped. "That's you." Jace clenched his jaw. Neros walked in a slow circle, voice almost amused. "Former Captain Jace Rowan. Dishonorably discharged from the Terran Special Forces. Central Gate tragedy. 30 civilians dead." His tone dripped poison. "A man like you should not be training any child." Rin turned to Jace, confused and frightened. "Is that true?" Jace swallowed. He wanted to lie. He wanted to protect Rin from the truth. But running from it was what ruined his life in the first place. "Yes," he said quietly. "Part of it." Neros stepped between Jace and Rin. "You see, boy, humans hide their real faces. This one walked into your home, carrying death on his hands." "Enough," Jace said, voice steady but low. "Or what?" Neros hissed. "Will you kill me too?" Rin looked between them. His hands shook. Jace knelt, so he was eye level with the boy. "Rin, the mission went wrong. We were told the building was full of enemy soldiers. It was not. It was a shelter," Neros finished. "A place of refuge. Burned because this human trusted the wrong data." Jace didn't argue. It was true. Rin's voice cracked. "Did you try to save them?" "Yes," Jace said. "We got survivors out. We stayed until the fires died. But it was already too late for many." He looked at the sand. "And I carry that every day." Rin took a shaky step back. Pain crossed his small face. "Why didn't you tell us?" Before Jace could answer, another voice cut through the tension. "Because some wounds must be shared at the right moment," Kira said. She stood in the doorway, expression sharp enough to slice stone. Nero stiffened. "Kira, you should not allow this human." "Leave," Kira commanded. "Now." "I will not," Neros protested. "Your son deserves to know." Kira stepped forward, eyes blazing. "He deserves truth, not your twisted version. And he deserves the chance to choose who stands with him." Neros opened his mouth, but Kira's hand hovered near her weapon, and he wisely closed it. "I will bring this to the council," he snapped. "The boy is not safe with him." Then he turned sharply and stormed away. Silence swallowed the yard. Rin's eyes were on Jace, full of questions and hurt. "Why did you come here if your past is so heavy?" Jace drew a slow breath. "Because I had nowhere else to go. Because I failed once, and I didn't know how to fix it. Because I didn't think anyone would want me to protect them again." Rin's voice was small. "Do you still want to protect us?" Jace didn't hesitate. "Yes, more than anything." Kira stepped closer. Her voice softened. "Rin, even the strongest warriors make mistakes. The difference is what they do after." Rin looked at Jace again, long, searching. Then he nodded slightly. "Not forgiveness. Not yet. But not rejection, either." He walked inside slowly. Kira waited until the boy was gone, then turned to Jace. "You should have told me," she said. Her voice was calm, but pain lingered under it. "I know," Jace said. "I was afraid you would send me away." Kira studied him for a long moment. "If I wanted you gone, I would have pushed you back into the desert the first night." A tired laugh escaped him. Kira stepped closer. "Your guilt does not frighten me, Jace Rowan. But you must understand, Rin will need time." "I can wait," Jace said. Kira held his gaze. "Good. Because if the Varkan return, you won't just be fighting for us. You'll be fighting for yourself." She turned and followed her son inside. Jace remained alone in the yard, the sun setting behind him, casting his long shadow across the sand. His past had finally caught up with him. But this time, he wasn't running. The settlement felt different the morning after Neros exposed Jace's past. People glanced his way longer than usual. Some whispered. Some turned their eyes away quickly, unsure whether to fear him or pity him. Jace ignored it all. He had lived with stares before. This was nothing new. But Rin's silence, that hurt more than any whisper. Still, the training continued. Rin showed up at sunrise as always, though his steps were slower, his eyes heavier. He listened, he practiced, he tried, but the spark from earlier days was dimmed. Jace didn't push him. He just stayed patient, stayed steady, stayed present. Sometimes that was harder than fighting a war. By noon, Kira returned from a meeting with the council. Her face carried a mix of anger and exhaustion. She waited until Rin stepped inside before speaking. Neros is stirring fear, she said. He wants you gone. He says you are a danger. I'm used to that opinion, Jace replied quietly. Kira stepped closer, lowering her voice. But I do not want you gone. And Rin. She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. He is unsure. But he has not rejected you. That means something. Jace nodded. I'll earn back whatever trust he lost, even if it takes time. Kira studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod of approval. But peace didn't return. It never had a chance. Because that same afternoon, the alarm tower wailed across the settlement. 3 sharp notes followed by one long, trembling tone. A system warning. A high one. Kira rushed to her hollow panel, Jace close behind her. A red symbol flashed, pulsing like a heartbeat. Unidentified vessel entered system outer ring. Signature match, Varkan Scout. Kira's hand tightened on the edge of the table. It's them. Jace leaned closer, eyes scanning the data. A scout ship means a fleet follows. How soon? She asked. Jace pressed a few keys, adjusting the analysis. If they accelerate, less than 2 days. Maybe 1. Kira turned, calling sharply, Rin, pack your emergency bag. Rin came running, fear widening his eyes. What's happening? Danger, Kira said simply. The kind your father fought. The boy swallowed, then looked at Jace with a mix of fear and expectation. Jace knelt. We'll handle this. But you must be brave and listen carefully. Rin nodded fast, like he was forcing courage into himself. Within minutes the council building filled with voices, fearful, angry, confused. Nero stood at the center as always, trying to control the room. We must evacuate immediately, he shouted. Everyone to the caves. Leave the settlement behind. Kira slammed her palm on the table. Evacuation without defense? They will hunt us in the open. We cannot fight them, Nero snapped. Not with scrap weapons. Not with a disgraced human giving orders. Jace stepped forward then. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Something in his tone made those near him fall silent. We're not fighting a fleet, he said. We're fighting the first wave. Small units. Scouts. They hit fast and try to break morale. And what do you suggest? The elder councilwoman asked. Jace pointed to the map. 3 groups. 1 to escort children and elders to the caves. 1 to hold the perimeter. And 1 mobile strike team to hit the Varkun when they break through. Neros threw up his hands. This is madness. He wants to lead us into death. No, Kira said firmly. He wants to lead us into survival. The elder gave a slow nod. Captain Rowan may know their tactics better than any of us. Jace saw the flicker of surprise on Kira's face. Saw Rin's chest rise with a bit of pride. Saw Neros's jaw drop. Captain. Nero spat. He lost that rank. I remember what he was before he fell, the elder replied. And I trust that man more than one who hides behind politics. The room quieted, and Jace realized something unexpected. He wasn't fighting for their trust anymore. He already had it, at least from the ones who mattered. Preparation began immediately. Kira took charge of the perimeter teams, moving quickly between barricade points and storage areas. Fighters gathered old rifles, charged energy cells, and set traps near the outer dunes. She moved like someone who had trained for this day since the moment her husband's name came home folded in a military letter. Jace formed the strike team, 8 Arel fighters, nervous but determined. He taught them weak points in Varkan armor. He positioned them along narrow alleys between buildings where numbers meant nothing and angles meant everything. But where will you be? Rin asked, voice trembling. Jace placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. Where the danger is thickest. That's my job. Rin swallowed and stepped closer. Come back, he whispered. You have to come back. Jace didn't promise, but he didn't look away either. Kira approached then, her eyes searching Jace's. You know they will hit the eastern side first, she said. That trail leads straight to the caves. I know, Jace replied. We'll hold it. She stared at him for a long moment. If you die, Rin will break. So will I. He felt something tighten in his throat. Then I won't die. Kira's fingers brushed his arm. Just once. Just enough to say everything they didn't have time to speak aloud. Then the sky darkened. A roar thundered overhead. A Varkan dropship slammed into the dunes, sending a storm of sand rolling across the settlement. Rin ran to the window. They're here. Kira grabbed her weapon. Positions. Jace pulled on his gear and looked out at the rising dust cloud, the shadows moving inside it. The storm that had haunted Kira for years had finally come. Jace wasn't running this time. He was running toward it. The first Varkan dropship hit the sand with a crash that shook the settlement. Dust blasted between buildings. Windows rattled. Children screamed. Fighters scrambled into position as a sharp metallic screech echoed across the dunes. Jace and his strike team crouched behind a half-broken wall. He signaled for silence. The air trembled with the low hum of Varkan engines cooling. Then, footsteps. Heavy. Slow. Certain. Remember what I told you. Jace whispered to the fighters beside him. They move like machines. They don't rush. They test your fear first. Arel fighters swallowed hard but nodded. The first Varkan soldier appeared between two houses. Tall. Scaled armor reflecting the suns. Its helmet had a dark slit where eyes should be. It scanned the street with cold patience. Jace studied its movements, timing each step. Hold, he breathed. Another Varkan appeared. Then another. They were forming a triangle, classic scouting pattern. Jace lifted his hand. 3 fingers. 2. 1. Now. Blaster fire filled the air. 2 Arel fighters hit the nearest Varkun in the leg joint. Sparks flew. The creature staggered. Jace leapt from cover, rolled across the sand, and fired 3 tight shots into the slit of its helmet. The Varkun collapsed with a hiss. The others roared, an ugly, guttural sound that vibrated in Jace's bones. They know we're here, he said. Fall back to alley positions. Don't give them a clear shot. His team moved quickly into the narrow space between buildings. Plasma bolts streaked past, burning deep black marks into the walls. Kira, status? Jace shouted into his calm. Her voice came sharp and breathless. Holding the perimeter, but they're pushing hard toward the eastern path. Jace froze. The eastern path, the route to the caves. Where the children were. Where Rin was. We'll move to reinforce, Jace said, already sprinting. His strike team followed, darting between broken structures. Sand exploded behind them as Varkun reinforcements poured into the settlement. Jace ran faster. Every step hammered with one thought. Reach Rin before they do. He rounded a corner, and the scene hit him like a punch. Kira and a small group of defenders were surrounded by fallen debris, firing desperately at a dozen advancing Varkun. Behind Kira, the last group of children rushed toward the cave entrance. Rin was at the front, shouting orders with a shaking voice. Go. Crawl through. Don't stop. Jace felt pride surge in his chest, but it vanished a second later when he saw a Varkan soldier break from the pack and head directly toward the children. Rin! Jace shouted. Rin turned, and a bolt flew past him so close it singed his hair. Jace fired without thinking. The shot cracked through the air and struck the Varkan right under its arm plating. The soldier fell, crashing into the sand. Rin stumbled back, eyes wide. Jace! Get to cover! Jace yelled. But there was no time for more. A blast hit the ground near Jace and threw him sideways. His ears rang. He hit the sand hard. Pain flared in his shoulder. Jace! Kira screamed. He forced himself up, teeth clenched. His vision blurred for a moment, sand sticking to the blood on his arm. But the sound that cut through everything wasn't Kira's voice or blaster fire. It was another roar. Louder. Deeper. Mechanical. A shadow passed overhead. Jace looked up, and his breath caught. A massive Varkan cruiser hovered above the settlement. Its underbelly glowed with bright red light. The main cannon was charging. Kira swore under her breath. They're going to burn the entire settlement. No, Jace said, mind racing. Not if we can distract them. How? Kira snapped. That thing can melt a mountain. Before Jace could answer, something else streaked across the sky. A sleek, gray-blue ship sliced through the air like a spear of light. It fired a precision shot that slammed into the cruiser's engine wing. The giant ship tilted violently, its red glow flickering. Another ship followed. Then another. Human ships. Jace blinked. It can't be. A comm channel opened with a burst of static. Captain Rowan? A steady voice called. This is Commander Reva Hale, Terran Defense Fleet. We traced Varkan movement here and intercepted distress signals. Looks like we're just in time. Kira stared at Jace in shock. They came for you? Jace didn't know how to answer. He wasn't sure he believed it himself. But the sky answered for him. Human fighters engaged the Varkan cruiser, forcing it to retreat. Ground troops panicked and began falling back toward their dropships. Jace pushed himself to his feet. Kira, press the line. Drive them out before they regroup. She gave a fierce nod and shouted to her fighters. The settlement erupted in one final clash. Blaster fire, shouts, crashing metal. Jace and Kira moved together in perfect rhythm, cutting down the last of the Varkan soldiers. And then, silence. The dropships fled into the sky. The cruiser limped into orbit. The battle was over. Kira lowered her weapon and exhaled weakly. We survived. Rin ran to Jace and threw his arms around him. I knew you'd come back. I knew it. Jace hugged him tight, relief washing over him so hard it made his hands shake. Kira stepped closer, breathless, eyes shining with something deeper than gratitude. You kept your word, she whispered. For you both. Jace said softly. Always. Above them, human ships floated like guardians in the sky. For the first time in years, the universe didn't feel like it was trying to crush Jace. For the first time, he felt like he belonged somewhere. Night fell slowly over Kether. The sky glowed soft blue under the 3 moons, and the sand, still scarred from the battle, seemed strangely peaceful. The settlement buzzed with quiet voices as people checked damage, treated wounds, and hugged their children tighter than usual. Jace stood on Kira's porch, one hand pressed against the fresh bandage on his arm. The wound throbbed, but it felt small compared to the weight that had finally lifted from his chest. For the first time in years, he was not thinking about running. He was thinking about what came next. A soft step sounded behind him. Commander Reva Hale, the human who led the rescue ships, approached with her helmet tucked under her arm. Her uniform was sharper than Jace remembered from his old life, and her eyes studied him with a mix of respect and concern. You fought well, Rowan, she said quietly. Just like before. Jace gave a tired smile. Feels like a lifetime ago. It was, she replied. But we didn't forget you. When new intel surfaced, real intel, we reopened your case. You were cleared. Fully. She held out a small data chip between 2 fingers. Your old rank. Your record restored. Any Terran unit would take you back in a second. Jace didn't reach for the chip. He looked past her, toward Kira, who stood near a group of survivors helping distribute food, toward Rin, who sat on a crate showing the younger children how to breathe calmly during danger, toward the battered settlement that had somehow become a place he didn't want to leave. I'm grateful, Jace said. More than you know. But my life isn't in the fleet anymore. Commander Hale followed his gaze. Her expression softened. The widow and her boy. I see. She slipped the chip back into her pocket instead of forcing it into his hand. Then maybe you want this instead. She pulled out a different device, a smaller one, marked with a Terran symbol and linked authorization codes. A liaison contract, Hale explained. You live here. You work here. But you stay connected to us. You warn us if the Varkan move again. In return, we support this settlement with protection, supplies, and tech upgrades. Jace blinked. You do that? We would, Hale said firmly. You saved these people today, but you also saved us trouble later. This outpost could become a strong point on the frontier. With you as the bridge between our worlds, it might just hold. Before Jace could answer, a small voice called from the side. Jace! Rin came over, rubbing sleep from his eyes. His hair was still messy from running and fighting and hiding earlier. He stopped right beside Jace and grabbed his hand tightly. Mom says, we're safe now, Rin said. But only because of you. Jace knelt down to meet his eyes. Because of all of us, he corrected gently. You were brave today. You protected the younger kids. Rin shrugged, shy but proud. I remembered everything you taught me. Kira approached then, silent but steady. Her gaze moved from Hale to Jace, a question already forming. Hale stepped back a little. I'll give you a moment. Think about the offer. When she walked away, Kira spoke softly. You can go with them. No one will hold you back. Jace frowned slightly. Do you want me to go? Kira's expression tightened. Want? No. If you left, it would hurt. More than I expected. She looked toward the horizon. But I won't chain you here. Rin stepped closer, voice small. I don't want you to go. Jace looked between them. This fierce widow with a warrior's heart, and this brave boy trying to grow into a world that had taken too much from him already. He felt something warm rise in his chest. Something he had not felt since before Helion Gate. Belonging. He rose to his feet and turned toward Kira. You asked me for a father, Jace said quietly. Not a fighter. Not a drifter. A father. Kira held his gaze, breath caught. I can't promise perfection, Jace said. I can't erase my past. But I can promise this. I won't run anymore. I won't leave you or Rin to face the next storm alone. Rin broke into a wide, tired smile. Kira exhaled, emotion flickering behind her silver-gray eyes. She stepped closer until her forehead rested lightly against Jace's, an Arel gesture of deep trust. Then stay, she whispered. Stay with us. In that moment, the dunes felt less like wastelands and more like home. Jace squeezed Rin's hand and nodded. I'm staying. Later, as the settlement dimmed into night, Jace stood between Kira and Rin, watching Terran ships drift away like steel stars into the sky. Tomorrow would bring challenges, repairs, rebuilding, new responsibilities, and the ever-present threat of Varkan retaliation. But Jace didn't fear it. He finally had something worth fighting for. A family, a home, a future. And if the Varkan came again, they would not find a haunted man with nothing left to lose. They would find a father, standing unbroken at the gates of a world he had chosen to protect. And this time, he would not break.